Somebody shot and we got somebody coming out something to shoot. Yes, sir.
You here for the access codes? Humane labs?
No, it said no more then.
All right. When I get the all
Shit better work then.
Can I get sign off? We need to be sure about them. That bank. That was you, right? Or someone associated to you? What you're getting into right now is a whole different ballgame, my friends. You got to go ahead? You got it. DFIB, what are these clowns doing? Shit! Move up!
Arrows coming at us. Damn it. Do not surrender. Take them out. We are burned if you are caught. You need to clean up these agents. They're chasing a payoff and they will keep coming.
I already got the briefcase. I'm already here.
Looks like you're clear, but we've heard that before. Drop the codes at HQ and look out for tails.
I'm good. Yeah, that's why I had to tell him my car. He talking about what you doing, man. I'm telling Hey, that definitely don't want me to get mine service or my night service.
Two different therapies that works together in different ways to harness the power of the immune system. Optiva plus Yervoy equals a chance for more days, more nights, more beautiful weekends, more late swims, more big hugs, more surprises. Optiva and Yervoy can cause your immune system to attack normal organs and tissues in your body and affect how they work. This may happen during or after treatment is ended and can become serious and lead to death. Some of these problems may happen more often when Optiva is used with Yervoy. See your doctor right away if you have a new cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain, nausea or vomiting, dizziness, fainting, extreme tiredness, weight changes, constipation, excessive thirst, changes in urine or eyesight, rash, rash, itching, confusion, memory problems, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain, flushing, fever, or tingling in hands and feet. These are not all the possible side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions, including immune system problems, or if you've had an organ transplant or lung, breathing, or liver problems. Here's to a chance for more together time, a chance to live longer. Ask your doctor about Opdivo plus Yervoy. Thank you to all involved in our clinical trials.
Just at home, staying safe with my family, working hard.
Love you all, miss you all, stay safe.
These past few months haven't been easy, but they've reminded us that no matter what, there's no place like home. Now, with Rae Tha Historic Roads, home has new meaning. Home means everything.
Oh, good.
Imagine life in that, or that. Having zero stress. Wasting zero energy worrying. 0 days wanting less seats, more seats, and 0 regrets. Imagine that. 0 reasons not to get into a Volkswagen, especially now that you can start shopping. Click call or call by today. Volkswagen sign in drive with them and it's 2020 Atlas Crossway S promotion today. 0 down, 0 to 5. First month payment and 0 to a time.
Discovery Plus.
I'm in love with somebody from across the world.
And a 90-day fiance universe. Is streaming all in one place. Discovery Plus, the home of the 90-day fiance universe. Stream what you love.
We were the poster children for the all-American way of life.
She finally was happy. I was so excited for her.
There was detachment, there was avoidance. You just never know what evil lurks just right next door to you.
American Monster. All new Sundays at 9, only on ID.
Soon June, chemist living in California, has a new man in her life. Friends and family say she's become more distant since meeting Larry Vanner. Now, one friend says Soon isn't taking any of her calls, and that friend is about to take action.
In May of 2002, Eunsoon's friend Renee Rose kept calling. Each time, Larry Vanner's explanation for why she couldn't talk to Eunsoon was different. Finally, after several weeks, Rose gave Vanner an ultimatum. She was leaving on vacation for 10 days, and she said she wanted to hear Eunsoon's voice on her answering machine when she got back. If she didn't, she would call the police. In the end, that's what she did. Roxanne Grunheim. She is working in Contra Costa County when this call about a missing person comes in.
And I was a homicide detective for the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff.
Someone who earlier in her career was told by superiors that her reports were too detailed.
Occasionally I did write a little bit too much.
I think just loves a mystery, who really thrives on searching for the smallest details that can unlock the biggest mysteries.
The case originally came in as a missing persons report.
Where is Eunsoon Jun? The obvious first place to start is with the live-in boyfriend, Larry Vanner. So police bring Larry Vanner in for questioning.
Now, I haven't talked anymore about Eunsoon's problems or my problems because, frankly, you're not my priest, and you're not my doctor.
I watched from this special room where the video link is. He was polite and soft-spoken and very smart, and with his twinkly blue eyes, he could, get somebody to maybe to trust him.
I've always tried to live by the model that there's no defense against the truth. But sometimes it's hard to find out what the truth is.
All we were really trying to do was to determine where Unsun was and if she was okay. And he wasn't being cooperative with that at all.
Now, when this other fire was roaring last night, I don't know if you've ever lived in a rural area, but most people were signed up for the firefighter.
He's just telling stories. He's just trying to bide his time and not anything about like Unsun and where she is and why you're here in this police station.
You know, gossip has its place in society sometimes, but I'm just not going to say any more about Unsun or myself right now.
Larry is offering a whole slew of different reasons for why Unsun is unavailable.
At first he said she was up in Oregon,
taking care of one of my properties.
And then at some point he changed the story into that she had had some sort of a nervous breakdown.
If she were to get a call from authorities, that might trigger an anxiety attack.
And when somebody's story keeps changing, it means that they're either made something up, can't remember what they told you the first time, or that they're lying to you.
They decide they want to fingerprint Larry Vanner to learn more about him. And he agrees.
He walked into the Records Bureau and allowed us to fingerprint him. We very quickly got a phone call from the Records Bureau that they had identified him as a parolee at large by the name of Curtis Mayo Kimball.
Curtis Kimball.
Curtis Kimball? He's a man who had been convicted of child abandonment.
All right, Larry. Your prints came back. You know your other name, right?
Curtis Kimball.
Curtis Kimball. Ring a bell?
No.
Yeah, that's who you are, man.
So what's the deal? Who really are you? And more importantly, where is Unsun?
Right away, he's under arrest.
He was read his Miranda rights and he declined to make any additional statements.
What the detectives don't realize is how much of a monster this guy is.
So Roxanne and a colleague go over to the house to try to find Unsun, to see where she is.
As myself and my partner approached the front door, we didn't know what we were walking into. I mean, you always hope that the person is okay and that they're alive and well. It was kind of dirty and just messy, but not anything particular that was out of place.
There's no obvious sense of foul play, of struggle of any kind.
We did note that there was an apparent lack of women's clothing property, like there were no purses, there were no women's shoes, so there was only his stuff in the house. It was odd. One of the interesting things I noted was that there were actually some photographs of Unsun on the refrigerator. She was smiling and she looked like she was happy.
They work their way around the house and around to the garage. And they open up the garage door from the outside.
It was packed with stuff. Unsun was an avid potter, and she had pottery in various stages of being fired and glazed. And then my partner walked into a smallish door at the very back, and he said something to the effect like, "You're not gonna believe this, like you gotta come see this."
Roxanne takes a few steps down to the crawl space, and what she sees is an enormous pile of cat litter.
Big, like 4 or 5 feet around, probably 2 or 3 feet high, and I stood there for just a few seconds. There was no odor. I remember seeing an axe leaned up there. There was a lot of blood spatter in the room.
They bring in the crime scene investigators, look into that pile, and they start brushing it away.
First thing that was revealed was a human foot.
And it's wearing a flip-flop.
But it was completely mummified. Ultimately, the body was positively identified as Unsun Jung. The cause of death was a blunt force trauma to the head.
It seemed obvious that she was either killed there or he was trying to dismember her there, and then just bought the kitty litter to buy himself some time until he could dispose of her.
So that night,
I don't think I slept a wink, and it was like the world had turned dark and gray. When I got up in the morning, I pulled my shades back. There was clouds and a beautiful blue sky. And there was seagulls circling in the sky. They were beautiful. And I went, this can't be. I should close the blinds back up. How could it be bright and sunny when Unsun's dead?
Within the couple of weeks after discovery of the body, Larry Vanner, aka Curtis Mayo Kimball, was charged with the murder of Unsun Jun.
Investigators have not yet proven that any of the tools found at the residence were used by Vanner to kill Unsun.
The prosecutor in the case, he wanted to find some piece of evidence that somehow tied Larry Vanner to the act of murdering Unsun Jun.
Ultimately, the cat litter was the key.
Myself so my camera will be on him. I just kind of let him talk.
Did you ever want to know the truth? There was almost fear that came over her body.
The Murder Tapes, all new, Wednesday at 9 on ID.
He's a psychopath. This is an all-hands-on deck case.
True Conviction with Penisic and Nicolasi premieres Wednesday, December 30th at 11 on ID.
This year, neighbors became family. With new flavors, new traditions, and low prices from Walmart. Let's end the year united. Chicago. Okay, so I'm a magnificent mile from you. I thought I was managing my moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Until I realized something was missing. Me. Your business? My symptoms were keeping me from really being there for my sisters. So I talked to my doctor and learned that's us. Humira is for people who still have symptoms of Crohn's disease after trying other medications. The majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief in as little as 4 weeks, and we achieve remission that can last.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
This program is brought to you in part by Nestle Toll House. Make, bake, love.
How to share love with Nestle Toll House. Make. Bake. Share love with mom. Nestle Toll House. The original way to share love.
We put a lot of stress on our feet. It's no wonder they ache. Introducing ArchFit from Skechers. ArchFit distributes pressure across the arch, providing balance and support to make walking more comfortable. They're machine washable and available for men and women. ArchFit, new from Skechers.
This town smells fantastic.
Desert dry minerals, absorb wetness fast. Odors, audios, even made litter out of it. Our king, well, our friend at that market.
Ain't nothing quicker than Zorbax.
In a land not so far away, people are saving hundreds on the most reliable network with Xfinity Mobile. They can choose from the latest phones or bring their own and choose the data option that's right for them. They even get nationwide 5G at no extra cost. And since they're on the carrier rated #1 in customer satisfaction, they live happily ever after.
Again! Xfinity Mobile. Your wireless, your rules. Your way to stay closer together. Click, call, or visit an Xfinity store today.
Say you're looking for the perfect present. You might try looking at the perfect place. A place with gifts that light up a face, as well as a room. Where it's easy to find the brands they'll love and the advice you trust. That place isn't the warehouse store. That place is your local Ace. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their gifts. This Christmas, wrap it in red at Ace and get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories, $3.99 and up. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware. Ace. North Adventure Grill, big stuff going on.
her children, the all-American way of life.
She finally was happy. I was so excited for her. She just knew she was awesome.
There was detachment, there was avoidance.
You just never know.
Okay, let's get these armored vehicles. Get down to Davis Quartz.
American Monster. All new Sundays at 9, only on ID.
The prosecutor in the case, he wanted to find some piece of evidence, a murder weapon, a print that somehow tied Larry Vanner to the act of murdering the soldier. What they came up with was the cat litter.
There was a huge pile of kitty litter on top of Lisa's body. 10
if these insurgent LAPV's light armored personnel vehicles came electric with driverless capabilities, might look into the financing options. Use it for the kids' soccer run. Not that I have children that I know of.
So many
Officially, who needs the paperwork, right?
So
Cars, not kids.
takes on
Who needs it when I can recruit degenerates like you to go on errands? Hey, by the way, you mind picking up some milk while you're out? I'm joking. You'll only be asked to collect what's needed for the larger operation, so unless we're taking advantage of a guard's lactose intolerance, you won't be sent to the farmer's market. Rest assured.
Pet store, and based on nothing more than that, she takes him right out to the pet store.
I walked in and I said, did this happen maybe? That somebody came in and bought a significant quantity of cat litter out of the blue? And he goes, yeah, there was this guy that came in and he bought 10 of them. And they described him to a T. Older guy, gray hair, mustache, beard, scruffy beard, bright blue eyes, and he goes, yeah, and he paid cash.
Ultimately, the cat litter was the key. The pre-trial hearings for Larry's murder trial begin.
And he pleads guilty. He doesn't fight it at all. He just says, I'm done. Send me to jail. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Looks like you're almost at the quarry. Merriweather rented the place to do some tests on the insurgent LAPVs. It's a live fire test, so expect resistance once you engage. Try and hold off engaging for as long as possible, though. Your best chance of success will come if you retain control of the situation.
Charge of abandoning a child about. I think he believed if he pled guilty, I would stop investigating that aspect of his past.
He goes to jail thinking it's done, but the case haunts Roxanne, and she keeps digging and keeps digging.
I'm like, this isn't adding up. Something's just not right about all of this.
These vehicles are fast, armored, all-terrain. Perfect for a militarized police-sized military, and concerned civilian interests. Whether you're driving this into enemy forces in a theater of war or a crowd of protesters in downtown LS. Insurgent LAPV Mark III integrity test on my signal. Get the insurgents and get out of there. Use the mounted machine gun on one of them if you have to. I'll meet you at our safe house on North Calafia Way.
I'm curious, was this really his daughter? If it's not his daughter, where did he get her? Where did he get her from? I put in a request to do a definitive paternity test.
She got the blood sample from Vanner, who's now in prison, and she tested it against the sample they took from 5-year-old Lisa.
He's not biologically related to Lisa.
Larry Vanner is not Lisa's father. Curtis Kimball was not Lisa's father. Gordon Jensen, Gerald Mockman, it wasn't her father. Maybe Lisa's not Lisa.
Once Roxanne saw the results of the paternity test, she called the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office. They had handled Lisa's case 17 years ago, and she was about to drop shocking news on them.
Here I am, years and years later, showing up and going, hey, you have a found Jane Doe, I believe. Initially, they were like, we don't have a case like that. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Roxanne basically tells them you have a missing person, an unidentified victim who is alive, who still has a family out there to meet.
It just made me determined to do everything that I could possibly do to try to find out who she was.
In 2003, when the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department opened a new investigation aimed at finding her true identity, Lisa was 23
Looks like you're almost at
years
the
old.
quarry. Merriweather have rented the place to do some tests on the insurgent LAPVs. It's a live fire test, so expect resistance once you engage. Try and hold off engaging for as long as possible, though. Your best chance of success will come if you retain control of the situation.
She didn't even know what her given birth name may have been.
These vehicles are fast, armored, all-terrain, perfect for militarized police, police-sized military, and concerned civilian interests. Whether you're driving this into enemy forces in a theater of war or a crowd of protesters in downtown LS. Insurgent LAPV Mark III integrity test on my signal, and fire!
This guy kills people. We might be dealing not just with someone that killed one person, but we're dealing with a serial killer.
The genesis of the investigation happened ultimately in that city of Metro until the
Police have still not identified the bodies of one woman and 3 young girls found in 1985 and 2000 in metal drums.
In my Judeo-Christian heritage, there's this sentiment around murder that the blood of the innocent will call out from the ground to God. And it's going to find justice because its DNA is going to point at perpetrators.
And how amazing is it that
Get the insurgents and get out of there. Use the mounted machine gun on one of them if you have to. I'll meet you at our safe house on North Calafia Way. They're gonna send people after you, and they aren't going to be nice people. Make sure we get the LAPVs back in one piece.
Coming up on part 2 of a special 2020 on ID.
If you try to write this as a fictional story, people would say it's too unbelievable. But it's the way it happened.
When you don't know who the victim is, it makes it a hell of a lot harder to solve the crime.
How can you have a mother and 3 daughters, the whole family, just disappear?
At this point, I am so obsessed with the case.
Because let's face it, there's a lot of dead people in this case tied to Evans.
He had this little girl that he said was his daughter, and he gave her away.
So then the mystery becomes, where's her mother? Because we know this guy kills people.
These weren't just random strangers he crossed paths with.
These are people he lived with. And at the end of the story, the guy who did all of that is your father.
My father was a serial killer. Come to me.
Whenever people ask me who the worst serial killer is, I have one answer.
Welcome back to a special 2-hour edition of 2020 on ID. I'm John Quinones. In California, the man known as Larry Vanner has pleaded guilty to the murder of Eun-Soon Jun. The police have discovered he has another identity, Curtis Kimball, and a blood test has revealed another lie. Kimball is not the father of Lisa, the girl he abandoned when she was just 5 years old. While Kimball sits in prison, Lisa is about to take action to learn who she really is. She'll get a boost from technology not available when she was little. And thousands of miles away, investigators are also using new tools and edging closer to identifying the remains of the mother and 3 children found so many years ago.
It's been more than 30 years since the discovery of the first barrel of this kind of adventure. State police begin to work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to revive the case. And they come up with new composite images of the victims, more high-tech reconstructions of what the victims might have looked like in life.
This is the skull, the CT scan brought into our software of the oldest child. You can see the blunt force trauma, the fracture lines here. You can sculpt the muscles back on the skull, and then slowly sort of work on each individual feature to come up with a final rendering of the face.
Investigators revealed the new images of a woman and 3 children whose identities remain a mystery.
They gave some measure of humanity to the victims and just helped to remind everybody that these were real people.
So in addition to constructing facial recognition of the victims, They also did DNA testing to determine are they possibly related.
Forensics has shown the woman is related to 2 of the children, most likely a mother and 2 daughters. But one girl is from a different family.
So who was the middle child became even more of a question. The goal was to not only report what we found between genuine interest in the case, because there was constant discussion about the fact, how can an entire family be wiped out and never come forward? We hope that maybe somebody would remember something out there and make a phone call, but that didn't happen.
So as the New Hampshire investigators are falling flat in their case, Lisa in California is still trying to figure out her identity.
Around 2015, more than a decade after Lisa found out that the guy that it wasn't her real father, she comes up with an idea. She hears that there are people using DNA websites to find long-lost relatives, like the network for her.
The databases have grown tremendously. So we started cell phone ancestry initially, and we started getting some distant cousins.
There are 4th cousins, 5th cousins, and it's not that simple to find out someone's identity based on the identity of a relative that is related.
DNA adoption, as the techniques that we use for finding the biofamilies of adoptees, but also for Lisa. Dr. Barbara Rae Tha is founded.
So genealogy itself is different. The history of research. Genetic genealogy has been coupled up with DNA. The Lisa case was actually kind of difficult because normally when you're looking at adoptees, you have some information. You know where they're born, their birth date. In Lisa's case, we had no idea where she was from. All we had was her DNA. We had from her dental development when she was first recovered back in 1986. It had been estimated that she was probably born in about 1981. At the time that I started working on this case, Lisa was about 35 years old.
So when Barbara got called, she started a research project site on family tree DNA and started correlating all the matches there. As people were contacted, they contacted their relatives also, encouraging them to test and share their DNA.
Barbara spends thousands and thousands of hours trying to figure out who Lisa is related to. She builds a family tree, and ultimately it leads to a man in New Hampshire who is Lisa's grandfather.
I was contacted one day by my nephew, and he was working with the sheriff's department out in California, and they requested for me to do a DNA. And they discovered that I was the actual grandfather.
And Barbara Rae Tha learns from him that he had a daughter named Denise Bowen, and Denise is Lisa's mother.
I called Lisa to let her know who she was. She got very quiet. I asked her about anything. She just very quietly said yes.
It turns out that, in fact, Lisa's birth name had been Barbara.
The last time Lisa's grandfather had seen Lisa and her mother was in 1981, around Thanksgiving, in Manchester, New Hampshire, with the mother's boyfriend, a guy by the name of Bob Evans.
Bob Evans had apparently told
tell you, we only need one of
members
these?
at Thanksgiving.
Other one's a spare.
They were going to be
You're gonna be
leaving
going in the
town,
one without a
that
gun.
they
Don't want to
were
draw
late,
attention.
and,
Pull the
so they would
electrics,
be leaving.
strip the plating, EMP will go in. Merriweather won't notice a difference.
I went over there to
You
advise
guys won't
them
need
to
armor in there, will you?
and found out that they were already
Right, now get
gone.
going. Let's wrap this up.
Their neighbors told me that they had packed up and just left. And then I never saw her ever since after that. We had no idea what to do or where to go or which way to turn.
The presumption was that they were just going off to make a new start elsewhere. So when they left the area, her family did not file a detective missing persons report, and no real inquiries or follow-ups or communications beyond that were had with her family.
One of the first questions for investigators is, who is this Bob Evans guy? He's a guy who was a plumber, electrician, who would do trade work.
I am a tall, heavy-set man, like a rough-looking like, you know. And I didn't really think of him too much. He looked kind of shady.
So here you have the last person who's seen with Lisa in New Hampshire, Bob Evans. The next time we see her is in California with Gordon Jensen. I think it's the same person.
I sent Manchester PD pictures of the guy we knew as Curtis Kimball and Gordon Jensen.
Authorities go to Lisa's grandfather. They bring a mugshot of Gordon Jensen, the guy that had abandoned Lisa in California, and they show it to him. And right away, he recognizes him and confirms what investigators had feared, that Gordon Jensen was also Bob Evans. Detective Peter Headley called Bob Evans an incredibly good con man. New Hampshire prosecutor Jeff Strelson had another name for him, chameleon. He clearly had the ability to embrace himself, to mold himself to the situation to get what he wanted. By this point, investigators had connected 3 of the 4 mysteries with each other. Eun Jun's murder, the identity of Lisa, and the disappearance and presumed murder of Denise Williams. After 30 years, in 2016, police opened a missing persons case on Denise Boat. She had not been reported missing before then. Then a case manager at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children met a map. Manchester, where Denise Boat was last seen, was only about 25 minutes from Bear Brook State Park. Denise went missing in 1981. The first barrel was discovered in 1985.
We started to look at the time frame and the proximity, and we're like, wow, there's a potential that these 2 cases could be related.
So investigators wondered, is Denise the adult victim from the first barrel?
Want a lunch that keeps cravings away? Dig into a protein-packed meal that powers your day. With 26 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber. Healthy Choice Power Bowls. Find us in the freezer aisle.
This year, you got it done. Now Walmart can help check off your gift list with free curbside pickup. Fast delivery from your Walmart store. Or gifts shipped right to your door. Let's end the year celebrating.
In addition to a sunburn, our inner ear would explode. Losing oxygen means losing 21% of our air pressure. A change in air pressure that drastic is equivalent to being at sea level and dropping down 2,000 meters instantly. Our ears wouldn't have enough time to adapt. Having a good time yet? Well, don't expect it to last long. Without oxygen, there's no fire. The combustion process in vehicles won't be able to occur. Any mode of transport that isn't electric will automatically fail. Planes will fall from the sky, and millions of cars will be stopped in their tracks. The sky will be completely dark. Before it hits the earth, light from the sun bounces off volatile particles in the air. Without oxygen in the atmosphere, there are less things to bounce off, and the sky will appear dark. Oh yeah, and losing oxygen. Without that layer, metals will instantly bind.
Hey, Justin, get off that shit. I went to the bathroom, nigga. I had stomach pain. I swear to God I was. Damn! Come on, run up that mission though, I'm ready. Damn, I was gonna snipe you, nigga. That tree helped you. Man, she saved your ass, so I would have been piped your ass, man. He steady shooting me, I can't fucking accept it. Nah, nigga, you got them other ones off. Look at them. I can't even hear what the fuck they saying.
Without that layer, metals would instantly bind to each other. If you happen to be relaxing at the beach at the time, expect a severe sunburn. The ozone layer, our protection against the sun's UV rays, is made of oxygen.
Buccaneers wouldn't have enough time to adapt. Having a good job,
No.
don't expect it to last long. Without oxygen, there's no fire fuel. The combustion process in vehicles won't be able to occur. Any mode of transport that isn't electric will automatically fail. Planes will fall from the sky, and millions of cars will be stopped in their tracks. The sky will be completely dark. Before it hits the Earth, light from the sun bounces off multiple particles in the air. Without oxygen in the atmosphere, there are less things to bounce off, and the sky will appear dark. Oh yeah, and while all this is happening, the Earth's crust will completely crumble. That's because Earth's crust is made up of 45%.
Hold on, I was watching some bullshit. Let me check.
Meet me halfway. Meet me halfway. Yes. Yes. Hell no. Hey, come here. See how she was doing me? You know I love you, baby.
And millions of cars will be stopped in their tracks. The sky would be completely dark. Before it hits the Earth, light from the sun bounces off multiple particles in the air. Without oxygen in the atmosphere, there are less things to bounce off, and the sky will appear dark. Oh yeah, and while all this is happening, the Earth's crust would completely crumble. That's because Earth's crust is made up of 45% oxygen. The crust would crumble and continue to crumble until there's nothing left, sending you and everyone on the planet into a free fall. Sound like fun? Probably not. But luckily, you can take a deep breath at 21% oxygen, knowing this will never happen. For more things that are fun to speculate on, keep checking back with What If.
That's what if we, no, man, my girl move, that's what I'm gonna do to the basement.
Hey, take this bed out of here. Put a little couch down here.
I give you gum. It better stay in your mouth. Yes.
Should have left my chair down here.
But you gotta have 4 people for this?
You gotta have 4 people for any of these showing up at the house.
It's a hot, dry day in July when you decide to explore the Amazon basin by boat. You feel pretty comfortable with your local guide showing you the exotic environment.
I need to go to the store.
All of a sudden, your boat capsizes, and you fall overboard into the still, warm water. Luckily, you're a strong swimmer. Wait a minute. What are all those fishes? And why are they swarming? This is how to survive a piranha feeding frenzy. There are 40 to 60 species of piranhas. The majority are timid by nature and scavenge meat from other fish and carcasses they find in the water. However, the red-bellied piranha is the most vicious and aggressive. It's also the most common, and it looks like it's the species you now find yourself swimming among. Since it's the dry season, the water is low, and this shoal has grown to over 100 fish with razor-sharp teeth sending powerful clamping jaws. And
how big is it?
From January 2012, when more than 30 people were attacked by piranhas,
how much?
aptly named Piranha Brazil. This surge happened over
500.
several days and prompted local authorities to post strict warning signs.
Yeah, if I'm buying a dog over 500, I want me a motherfucking Akita.
Body do they attack first? How can deep water save you?
Yeah, but I want.
Step 1.
With all his shots and shit, bro, I can get about 15.
I'm already here.
Stealthy opportunists and are attracted to sick, dying animals. If you panic and flash your own, this will tell predators you're in trouble, and they will begin to swarm. Make your movements slow.
My friend's trying to join.
Step 2. Don't make noise. Red-bellied piranhas locate their prey with excellent hearing combined with teamwork. The shoal fans out in search of prey. Once they find a tasty morsel, they communicate acoustically to each other, which signals the feast to begin. So it's important you make as little noise as possible. Don't yell or scream, and tread carefully.
You ain't getting out none of it.
Step 3. Swim to deeper water. Attacks on humans have been on the rise over the last decade. Scientists believe it's caused by an increase in dams on the Amazon River, which slows the current and attracts swimmers. The slow-moving, warm, fine swimming water is exactly what piranhas love. If you can, quietly move toward deeper water where it's colder and the current is quicker. Currents can be dangerous themselves if you're not a strong swimmer, but they will help safeguard you from an unwelcome heating process. Step 4. Protect your hands and feet. Exposed hands and feet are vulnerable main targets. So protecting these areas before you potentially go out in piranha-infested waters will help you survive nasty bites. They will still hurt, but maybe you'll be missing less chunks when you finally escape. Thick leather gloves and solid shoes. It was United States President Theodore Roosevelt who turned piranha into a popular supervillain in a book chronicling his jungle journey through the Brazilian wilderness. He witnessed an entire cow being devoured down to the bone. But experts believe the shocking event was staged for the president's benefit. Sorry, Teddy. In truth, these beasts aren't quite that monstrous after all. Like most animals, piranhas are more scared of you than you are of them. Giving them a wide berth is your best bet, especially if they're guarding a clutch of eggs or on special methods. Honestly, you may have bigger things to be worried about if you fall into a river in the Amazon. You can learn all about demons, deadly parasites, and more in other How to Survive episodes.
Get off. Alright, come on, OG. What the fuck is this? Cool. OG,
Snap, crackle, pop. The harmless log that just floated by has turned into a jaw-snapping death machine.
It's so nice to be able to just hop on the app and enjoy our McAllisters at home.
Wandering off on a hiking trail seemed like a great way to get in touch with Mother Nature, but now every part of the forest is starting to look the same. You're not sure which direction you came from. You try to get your bearings by checking your phone, but the battery's dead.
That's because that's my
So what do you do now? You're lost and completely off the grid. Here's how to survive alone in the forest. It's very easy to get lost in a forest. Everything looks the same, so it's hard to keep track of visual landmarks, and it's nearly impossible to see any distant destinations beyond the trees. So instead of focusing on finding your way out of the forest, you're probably better off figuring out how to survive until someone finds you. How could you make a fire without a lighter or matches? Would you be better off eating Step 1. Find fresh water. If you're going to last out here for a long period of time, you'll need to stay hydrated. Keep an eye out for animals, animal tracks, green foliage, mosquitoes, and flies, as they're all good signs that water is nearby. In the forest, you're most likely to find a pool, a stream, or a pond. Another way to stay hydrated is to save rainwater. If you have anything that will hold water, leave it out to collect rain or dew. If you don't have any containers, use a tarp or a poncho if you have one. Hang them by tying the corners to trees 3 to 4 feet off the ground. Put a small rock in the middle of the material to make a kind of bowl to collect the water. Step 2. Build a shelter. The canopy of trees above will provide decent shelter from the sun, but if you're going to be stuck here for a long time, you're going to want something better. The easiest, most effective way to protect yourself from the elements would be to build a lean-to shelter. To do this, you'll need to find a large branch and lean one end against a tree. Then, place smaller branches at 45-degree angles along the length of the large branch and cover the entire structure with leaves and foliage. Step 3. Find food. All that shelter building is bound to build up your appetite, so you need to start looking for something to eat. Plants would seem to be the easiest bet, but you have to be careful because a lot of them are poisonous. Some characteristics of poisonous plants to watch out for include white or yellow berries, thorns, mushrooms, and